All right, we are live yet again. This is kind of take two. So for those of you that were on earlier, perfect. And we're being shown with the side-by-side window. Amazing, awesome. We're going to go ahead and start over. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty. So welcome to those of you that are watching either live or replay. My name is Marina and I'm an intuitive business mentor. I am here with one of my rock star clients who has graduated, who went from employee to full-fledged entrepreneur in the last 6 months. And today we're celebrating her and talking about the entire transformation. So this is Debbie with Live with Vigor is her company. And Debbie is an absolute renegade when it comes to creating a business from the space of her gifts, especially utilizing her knowledge of the earth element. Debbie is extremely savvy with all things plants, growing food, all things agriculture, and she has over the last 6 months taken her gifts and created a business from that. She now catalyzes personal transformation through the use of the earth element. She helps people create their own garden spaces, grow their own food, and meet their goals in that way. She's an advocate for sustainable agriculture, advocate for an amazing company for soil medicine, as I like to call it, and also is really passionate about connecting people with the source of their food and creating better food choices, both in diet as well as where the food comes from and connecting people to that. We have packed all of those talents into her company and business and created a variety of offerings. And now today we're celebrating. Debbie, how are you feeling today?
Like a rock star. Yeah. Feeling powerful, feeling strong, joyful, all good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's so awesome. I'm so happy you're here, and I'm like honored. I'm like such a proud mama, such a happy mama. It's been such an amazing and like just crazy what has happened over the last 6 months. How are you feeling about the last 6 months? It's been pretty wild.
The last 6 decades. It's really mind blowing how much can change in such a very short period of time. Uh, Given everything else that's going on, uh, and so much that seems to be lost in chaos, that you can still find the thread of yourself through it all and make the changes that bring you up to that space of power and joy that I feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's been an amazing ride. Certainly not over, but
Yeah.
to come into this space has been um, certainly worth the effort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's so awesome, and it's been a wild ride. Let's go back to that spot. 6 months ago. Where were you 6 months ago?
Locked in the office of a farm. I was an employee at a farm where I had come to the realization that my managerial skills, as such, were I was underpaid and undervalued for what I had to offer, and there was really nowhere else to go within that space. And because my inner self was speaking loudly, I knew it was time to follow those prompts and make some changes. Who knew
Yeah.
how dramatic they might be? But
Yeah. I'm so glad you
mm.
followed that voice because imagine,
Ah,
what would you want to say to somebody who perhaps might be watching of what 6 months might mean to them?
I would say it's the most empowering thing from my perspective that you can do for yourself. In particular, if you are feeling the nudge or the call or the prompt or the impulse. For me, it was just a cut and dry. I knew life could either flatline at that point, or I could take the jump, take the leap, and put some faith into myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I can't say that it's for everyone, but it is for those who are receiving those impulses.
Yeah. I agree. That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh man, it's so wild. Just I remember, I remember like where were you 6 months ago and just emotionally as well. How do you feel like your emotional transformation has been from 6 months ago to today?
I would use the word stabilized.
Mm-hmm.
There has certainly been a roller coaster of things, and because I have come into a space that is my power, I'm able to see the things that caused the upheavals as for what they are, and come back to a space of, for me, my own personal calm and power much much more readily, much sooner.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. What do you feel you were looking for? Like, what kind of solutions were you looking for? I know you were talking about this intuitive nudge that you had. What kind of solutions were you looking for? And then how did we end up connecting? What was it that kind of sparked? Like, huh.
So I was in a space of having had this entrepreneurial idea since 2012, and found myself spinning my wheels across all of those years. And honestly, when I first met you, which was in a group setting,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize the energy, so to speak. It felt very different for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point in time, I recognized that was the value of it, was that for me it was a different edge, it was a different tangent, it was a complete pivot from what I had been doing, which clearly wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that which drove me to take action. Just knowing that it would be a complete pivot, a complete shift for me, but I also recognized that I needed that to change
Mm-hmm.
the pattern that I've been repeating and looping through for the past number of years.
Yeah, I do remember that. And you mentioned that at the beginning too. And yet, what has been, it's funny. It's interesting to me because, I do remember you kind of feeling that I was edgy in a sense, that I kind of brought a certain different element perhaps to whatever you were doing because I do remember you did have certain things set up. You had, an email list, you knew how to use Kajabi. And I was actually surprised when I started taking inventory. I was like, you have a website, you have all these things. So this seed has been planted before. And then I came along and was edgy. I didn't remember. So it's interesting for me to hear that just as far as how it was perceived back then. What would you say? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's an important directive for anyone, including myself, moving forward, is to keep looking for the edge. What's the edge? If you're not reaching for the edge, it's like the cutting edge that is I'm sure it's out there somewhere. It's the leading edge of creation, and that if you're a mover and a shaker, why wouldn't you choose to be in that space? So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, always look for the edge. That's such great advice. That's amazing. What would you say has been perhaps the most profound or impactful aspect of my work with you, or our work together, rather?
for me, I think it's multifold because there's a lot of solid business. Um, I will refrain from using the word structure because I don't feel like it's a structure, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a solid business model, if you will, that allows fluidity to the varied areas of things that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's a wisdom that I didn't have. Um, I hadn't been in school for business, and so there was a lot of components that just give me something that's core, something that's tangible to move forward with,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in how I speak in my words. That sounds silly, but how I write, the
Mhm.
structure of my writing, how to input who I am into those words, into those spaces. So that was one component of it, is that business part. But then there's also the part of recognizing that as a person goes through these changes, sometimes we need to address the not business parts, and that would be the spiritual component, the energetic component of who we are. And I remember, quite frankly, I remember some tough times that I needed you to be there to remind me that it was all part of this new way of me being. So
I'm gonna cry. I'm crying right now.
it's okay. Um,
Yeah.
so it was very multifold for me. It wasn't just one thing. I don't know. Um, I mean, I feel like even in our own space that we've grown energetically, um, because of all of that together.
Yeah,
It's been a beautiful experience.
I agree. And it's been synergistic, and thank you for pointing that out, you know. Do you feel like it's been a good balance of both, of like
Absolutely.
energetic facilitation, channeling, and then also giving you the structural side and strategic sides? That's
Absolutely. Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. And I wouldn't rewrite anything. So
That's awesome. It's beautiful. Thank you. So let's
welcome.
talk about what have we done? What kind of things have we achieved over the last 6 months? We'll start with the more internal and then we'll go external. What kind of, how are you feeling now after the whole experience from then till now? Emotionally, where do you feel like you stand?
I take complete charge of my power, my queendom, my
Mm-hmm.
knowing what I know, knowing that I am who, there is no one else like me, that um, what I have to share is unique. And that's an important component of, what I feel is a spiritually, conscious business. That uniqueness is the main component of it. My energy, pardon the dog, that it's my energy that is the foundation of everything else that I'm offering, because there are many people who can teach you how to grow food, but they all will have, a different bent on it, or a different take, or a different energetic component. And um,
Yeah,
for me, that is the foundation of everything else emotionally. That
absolutely.
I honor myself with that awareness.
Yeah. How do you feel about, in regards to your self-trust now, your ability to trust yourself to do this, to send it from
I got
then
this.
till now?
I got this. Let's send it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
it's come a long way, because, as you know, I used to, I used to, you know, I guess for me the analogy of the infant, you know, the baby, and acknowledging that babies don't walk with the very first attempt that they take, um, and having come from a place of wanting to give up on my baby every time because that one thing just didn't do it. That one thing, just didn't do it. And coming to a place now where I recognize that every attempt has value, and as much as I keep evolving, so will my business, and so I will create, take action on the creation as it comes to me, and send it, and just
Hmm.
keep creating. Uh,
Hmm.
it's 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 going to get interesting.
That's good. That's one way of putting it, right? I mean, it's just, you've allowed this kind of fluidity now in business, and most people, this goes against some of the traditional like business coaching models, right? Of creating so much eclecticism within everything you offer, because now, you know, and actually let's go there next of like what is it that you have created over the last 6 months? You know, what kind of offers, what are you doing for business now?
Well, and of course, it took a sharp right when the virus came through. Went from planning some in-person workshops to initially taking that first workshop and teaching people to eat intuitively, to learn to communicate with their bodies and choosing better foods for themselves, which
Mm-hmm.
then, you know, leads itself into the best foods you can choose for yourself will actually come out of your own garden space, and what it looks like to grow your own food, how to get that started, to you know, creating my Facebook group in regards to plant wisdom, which comes through many avenues of plants providing us what we need to achieve wellness in our lives, to what you call the SoilMed Products, to rebuilding the soil's health with the right products to achieve the good nutrition and the quality that we seek for
I'm
our
going to
own wellness.
interject here for just a second. The SoilMed products, so everything that you've been mentioning up till now has been your own creation, and then in addition to, you have joined a company where you're getting paid commissions. It's yet another part of your offerings. You know, a lot of people see that as kind of like this split of interest as somehow diluting your brand, when in fact it's actually something that's been an enhancement. So I have to kind of just let the, you know, the viewers
Appreciate that.
know just the different like facets of business that have been developed, you know, have not just been, you know, your own creation, but also like teaming up with other companies that support your values and mission that are common goal, and you have been able to combine them. So that's really awesome. But anyway, keep going.
No, and that's, I think that's an important point too, is that I know this company and I know that they're very much in line in a similar thought pattern as far as what their objectives are. Their objective is never about the bottom dollar. Their objective is to change the way we grow our food. You know, grow anything. It doesn't matter what we're growing, but to do it in a quality way that serves the earth, because the earth is where we all live. And
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't, if they didn't line up with me that way, there would be a different avenue. But it does, and it's very perfect.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, moving forward, I have, you know, intentions, desires to really create a personal growth space, to sharing my experience with creating these personal Edens. And I know that through these spaces, that in the quote that I found years ago was that more than plants grow when you plant the garden. And we as humans, there's a lot of change going on, and so many people seeking something that they're not quite able to define. And within this spaces where I know that they will be able to find the love for themselves, the healing that they're seeking, knowingly or not knowingly, and then leveling up in their own power. Really, it's me reaching out and lending a hand to
Mm-hmm.
assist those who are seeking the guidance.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. It's like so many different facets of yourself that has been placed into your business in a physical sense of having products and product lineup, you know, to facilitate that, of having the more, you know, interpersonal, transformative experiences. And how would you feel if I told you like 6 months ago that you would have a one-on-one client asking you for specific knowledge and help that you are so genius at today? How would you feel then if I told you you would do that?
Right. You'd be like, right. It would be hard at that point in time, hard to wrap my mind around knowing that I have the potential to, you know, to
Mhm.
assist many in their own, and each has their own reasons. in some cases, it's the reason that with the uncertainty of the future that they just don't want to ever be hungry, and so by knowing how to grow their own food, they eliminate that possibility. So for some it's a survival thing, and others it's a healing space. There are many reasons why, and that's where through, as you taught me to write, um, that's where that comes into play. That's how I see it. And would I have known that 6 months ago? No, I would not have known how to access those people.
Yeah. And how do you feel, when it comes to like, this is what's interesting and funny to me, and most of my clients kind of have this apprehension when it comes to sales and marketing guru, like especially for somebody who's like spiritual, somebody who has such unique gifts to offer the planet. How do you feel like your perspective of sales and marketing has shifted now, especially with how you intertwined it with your business?
Well, I have several awarenesses, and one that not everyone is meant to be my client, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that are, who am I not to share
Mm-hmm.
what I have to offer? Because again, in this time of chaos, people are looking for something better, and if it's my better, then who am I not to speak about it?
Mm-hmm.
Coming from a place of power, and really just trusting that the right people will find me because I'm putting myself out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now you almost feel like obligated to sell, right? And you're like, I have so much, I just feel like now you're more loud and proud about the things that you offer, I've definitely seen that. Is there any other things that you'd like to wrap up before we wrap up, or any other things that you'd like to say to the viewers about this whole experience of transformation?
I feel very strongly that it's for me it was the right choice. I feel that anyone who's in my a similar space of maybe not knowing exactly where you're going, but knowing that you have to go somewhere, and you need someone to guide you along the way. It's nice to have the accountability, the support, the wisdom, the love, all of the things that you have to offer, and certainly in this moment, I'm most grateful that you were there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited. And to those of you who are watching and are really confused about the earth element and where we're going, and, need that kind of perhaps something to place your efforts in instead of having a green lawn, and to rethink about where your food is coming from, and to rethink about what we're doing environmentally to the planet. Talk to this woman. She is an absolute genius, and she understands so much more when it comes to plant essences and how do plants actually affect your emotional body, which is your next phase of work, um, that I'm really excited for you to birth and really bring to the planet. So I really am super honored for the experience, for this whole entire journey with you, for I as well have transformed through the experience. I feel like I have become as well a different mentor throughout the 6 months. There's been a lot of changes throughout my life, and this is one of the things that I love about a work like this, is that we affect each other and there's no hierarchy.
Absolutely.
There's an immense amount of reverence that I have for all of my clients, who are doing things differently, and this kind of edginess. Perhaps you had felt edgy to me at times because, I'm like, we wouldn't understand each other. Like I'm sure there were frustrations, and that's a relationship, that's based on reverence and love, and there's no hierarchy. So I really am super honored and I'm super floored, that you have chosen me to facilitate this experience. And I really appreciate you being here. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end, unless you have any other ending thoughts.
Nope. Just want to tell you I love you and thank you for being my cohort and my equal.
And thank you as well. It's been an honor, and I love you as well. And I can't wait to see where you go. And to everybody that is watching, here's one for you as well. Bye.